Hi, guys. I'm going to talk to you today about black and white thinking. And this is something that we all struggle with. I promise you, we all struggle with it. I know I do, where I have to really start thinking, like, is that really the case? So, black and white thinking is when you think like somebody is all good or all bad, or all this or all that, or because somebody has this kind of belief that they're all wrong and you're all right. And in the way to tell that you're using that, the black and white thinking is all of them, everyone, every time. There's terms that you would use every time, all of them, them. So it's all that sort of stuff, and that ends up being black and white, very black and white thinking. Um, I've run into this a good bit this week. I've had it's Wednesday and I've had like 4 people so far this week who started telling me about, how there was certain people who were certain ways and all this sort of stuff. And it's always amazing to me because I have people who think this way and they always think that I'm on whatever side they're on. So, you'll hear them say things like, well, you know how it is. So it's been bothering me because I feel like it has kind of amped up over the last couple of years for sure. In America, it's very, very amped up. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about one of the things that I learned early on that taught me not to do this, not to do black and white thinking. So here's the story. When I was growing up, I was raised in a Catholic environment, and I learned the stories of Christ. And one of the stories of Christ is that when he was being crucified, he was at the top of Calvary, and there was a thief on a crucifix beside him. On both sides, there was a thief on each side of him, and he was in the middle. And there's a story that goes that one of the thieves said to Jesus, "Will you forgive me? Will you forgive me for everything I've done?" And Jesus said, "Yes, you will be with me in heaven." So it's a really cool little story because you think like, "Oh my goodness, somebody got saved hanging on the cross beside Jesus." I thought, here he had had a bad life, and then, he'd done some really bad things, but he asked for forgiveness and Jesus forgave him. So that's a really nice thing. When I first heard it, though, I remember thinking, well, the other guy went to hell. Just automatically, well, the other guy went to hell because it didn't say anything about like the other guy, the other thief. Did the other thief even ask? Did he, what was the scoop? So in that religious ideology, we think that the thief that asked for salvation and was granted it went to heaven. What did that other guy? Whatever happened to that other guy? Years later, I was reading St. Augustine, and I'm going to read you something that he said, and it blew my mind because it literally, I had about a week of like overthinking it, thinking, oh my God, it's crazy, like how black and white I was thinking. So here it is. It's two sentences that he said. So, but there's so much in those sentences, you guys. Okay, here it goes. Do not despair. One of the thieves was saved. So do not despair. One of the thieves was saved. So he's basically saying, don't despair that your life is meaningless because one of the thieves was actually saved. So if you believe that there is a heaven or there's something better, then you know that there is salvation, right? Maybe you need to ask for it, but there is salvation. We know that salvation exists because, it happened. So do not despair. One of the thieves was saved. The second sentence is what blew my mind, though. Do not presume that one of the thieves was damned. Do not presume that one of the thieves was damned. When I first read that, I was actually in university and I was learning about how our brains work and how we think and how our perceptions are set up and all this stuff about like what's happening in the brain. And I remember thinking to myself, oh my gosh, like your brain tricks you. Your brain doesn't give you good information frequently. And it compartmentalizes and twists things. And, by the time it gets into your brain, it becomes something completely different than what it was. You'll see this in eyewitness testimony. You'll see, two people in a courthouse, and they're both eyewitnesses to a crime. And one will say, oh, the robber, she was wearing a red jacket. And the other one will say, no, she was wearing a blue jacket. So who's right? It's both of them took what they saw and filtered it through their brain, and they put it into categories. The problem is that a lot of times we put it into black and white categories. It's either good or bad, and that's it. It's very clear cut. So in the case of when I first heard the story of the two thieves, I thought, oh, this guy gets into heaven, but this guy, he's going down. He's going down. And St. Augustine had to say, listen, you don't know. You don't know. We only are hearing part of it. We don't know what happens after that. We do not know the mind of God. And furthermore, when I started thinking about it, the more I started thinking about it, the more I thought, here's us with the mind of man trying to understand a bigger mind, if there is such a thing. Maybe there isn't. But here's us trying to understand it. It's equivalent to an ant trying to understand an elephant. It's crazy. Like, we're trying to understand like how the whole world works from this little tiny brain in our head that doesn't know how to create universes or doesn't know how all the science works. One of the things I love about science is that it's always trying to prove itself wrong. And I think when you put the two of those together, when you put like salvation and an idea of do not presume together with, are you right? Test it. Are you right? Test it. It works out well. So I'm just saying that because I found like black and white so much this week, so much. I mean, it is Wednesday and it has been like nonstop. People tell me, well, you know how they are. Do you know how that is? Do you know how this president acts? Do you know how that president acted? Everything is all bad or all good. There's no in between. It's just not how the world works. There's so many times when, somebody could be really horrible to me and fabulous to you, the most beautiful, wonderful, kind person ever to you, and a crazy man to me. That happens frequently. We will, even in our own lives, we're not black and white. We're not all good and we're certainly not all bad. So we're gray. The world is gray. So I just wanted to chat with you about that and let you think about it. It might not impress you much, that saying, but do not presume that one of the thieves was damned changed my whole outlook about so many different things. And I think it really genuinely did that because at the same time I was learning how my brain is not all that like it was all like kind of all congealed together and like, oh, my brain's not all that. And I black and white everything. And I don't know the big picture. Don't know the big picture. So thank you for listening to me today. And I hope you all have a great, great day. Take care. Bye-bye now.